Hey everybody, Guilty here, and you read that right. Ninja Gaiden Black, by the numbers, is back. It's been a long time since the last episode of the series was published, and honestly, I don't really have an excuse. But the past is past, and if you're here, it's likely because you want some of that sweet, gooey, analytic action. Analytic? Analytic. Yes. Before we get going, I do want to share a few acquisitions I made some months ago. These are various game guides for Ninja Gaiden 04 and Ninja Gaiden Sigma, imported straight from Japan. Strangely, Ninja Gaiden Black did not seem to get its own dedicated publication. The hell's that all about? In these pages, I have the closest to what are the official names of enemies and fiends, and it's with the aid of on-screen translation software and ChatGPT that I have made this content comprehensible. Going forward, rather than referencing the Xbox executable, the XBE, when listing the enemies fought in a chapter, it will be from these sources, where I draw their names or any other descriptors. Well then, let's get into it. We're picking things back up in Chapter 9 on normal difficulty. Tyron is still on lockdown, but not for much longer, as Ryu infiltrates the Vigorian military base. It's Ayane's approximation that destroying the army's communications tower will be enough to plunge Ryu's pursuers into disarray. So much so that he can slip back into the shadows and resume his own hunt for Doku. In Chapter 9, I fought 26 heavy infantry, 24 heavy infantry with rocket launchers, 2 heavy infantry on mounted twin machine gun turrets, 24 FL-2000 drones, 1 Vulcan cannon atop an infantry armored vehicle, 2 tanks, and 1 attack helicopter. Of the 26 machine gun wielding heavy infantry, the majority, 69%, were assigned 640 health points. The second most prevalent assignment, with 19%, was 760 points. 8% were assigned 520 points, and 4% were assigned 820 points. Of the 24 rocket-firing soldiers, the majority, by a little bit, 54%, were assigned 760 points. The next most prevalent assignment, with 29%, was 640 points, followed by 12% with 900 points, and lastly, 4% with 980 points. There were only 2 mounted twin machine gun turrets just outside the warehouse. Each of those soldiers had 760 points, similar to the rocket launcher types. 3/4 of the troop of FL-2000 drones that harass you when inside the warehouse were assigned 180 base points. The remaining 25% were assigned 200 points. Both of the tanks are assigned 9,000 points, and just like when we met last chapter, the attack helicopter is assigned 10,000 points. Just playing this chapter opened my eyes to a couple things, but these guides have also enlightened me to game mechanics and details I was never aware of. For instance, the effectiveness of windmill slash, forward X with the dragon sword, is dependent on Ryu's proximity to the enemy, and it dictates which of 2 different levels of damage he inflicts. If Ryu is too far from the enemy, the attack will deal roughly 17% less than its full potential, almost as if he is clipping the enemy with the dragon sword rather than striking them with his full force. Such an event actually occurs in this chapter. That damage is indicated with blue fill color. Look for it at the locomotive turnstile. I also discovered that when fighting the tanks and the attack helicopter, Ryu's arrows can do 2 different levels of damage. This apparently depends on when the arrow's impact on the target occurs relative to its release from the bow. You'll see during play, when using the AP-FSDS arrows, that some do 640 damage, while others do 800, seemingly at random. But it was during testing that I was able to freeze the helicopter just adjacent to the overpass, and discovered that every arrow fired into it was doing 800 points of damage. This was after freezing the helicopter in position before conducting its long-distance strafe, and seeing every arrow then, regardless of placement, returning 640 points of damage. This same philosophy applies to the tanks, as demonstrated here in the mission Military Destruction, or MD3. Finally, I had previewed Ryu using melee weapons against the tanks in the last episode. Indeed, Ryu can use the Warhammer, Debilero, and the Unlabored Flawlessness to inflict damage against the tanks. However, even with the Vulcan turret and the main cannon disabled, the vehicle itself is still very nimble and should not be underestimated. I gotta say, it felt great writing this script, gathering this footage, and conducting these experiments again. And I'm happy to be back into this. Like the video if you think it deserves it. Subscribe if you want to see more. If you want to be involved in the guilty community that seems to have established itself over the past couple years, or if you just want to lurk, open the video description for an invite to my Discord server. There you'll find exclusive mods, because I don't publish everything I make to Nexus, channel updates, renders, and all the other things my ADD has let slip through. Honestly, I'd love to have you. Until next time, like, subscribe, go outside.
Bye.